Hey guys, welcome to or back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Joy and I am so glad that you are here and I'm so glad that you chose this to be your safe space. In today's video, we are going to be going over the books that I read in the month of January. I am really excited because this is the most books that I've read in a month. So we're gonna give myself a little pat on the back. Let's dive in. So let's go over some of the stats for this month. I read a total of 12 books in the month of January. In regards to genre breakdown, I read 6 romances, 1 literary fiction, and 5 thrillers. For star rating, I had 2 3 stars, 4 4 stars, and 5 5 stars. So as I said, we had a really great reading month, you guys. So the way we're going to do this wrap up is we're going to talk about the books from my least favorite all the way up to my favorite. So let's get into the video. Starting off with my lowest rated book, we have The Ex by Frida McFadden. I told you guys this in my January TBR, so I will link that in the cards. I wanted to get to a good amount of Frida's backlist for 2025. So this was one of the books that has been on my radar for a little while. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. And essentially we are following our main character, Cassie, who has kind of been like having not the best luck with love until she meets this guy named Joel, and she and him sparks fly. Joel has an ex-girlfriend named Francesca that just can't seem to let it go. I thought that the plot was really interesting. However, where the book lost me was the twist. I just felt so confused. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't understand like where we're getting at. Like it was just really confusing towards the end of the book. And that was what made it a 3-star for me. I loved the plot. I liked the twist. It was a really well done twist. It just ended up being very confusing in the end. The next book we have is Want to Know a Secret by Frida McFadden. I kind of felt myself going towards a little bit of a slump after I read The Ex. So I said, okay, let me try another old Frida book and see where things go. And this one was a lot better than The Ex. It has rich mom, suburban drama. We are following a mom named April who is a YouTube star, and she has some skeletons in the closet. She may present as this sweet, loving wife, loving mom. However, she has skeletons in the closet. Somebody knows about it and they are not afraid to expose it. I thought that this book was really well done. I found April to be a little bit annoying, and I found her son to be a little bit annoying too. Being a mom, it's like, you know, I'm very sensitive when it comes to kids, but this little one, he just, I wasn't feeling him. I wasn't feeling him at all. I got through it in like 2 days, and I thought that the twist was really well done. It didn't wow me. Now let's get to my 4-star reads. The next one that we have is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. I read this as an arc and it was really good. We are essentially following our main character, Grady, who is a author who has been struggling trying to write his next book because a year ago his wife went missing, and that really took a toll on him and his life. He gets an opportunity to go to a remote island in Scotland to finish his next book. And so he goes to this town and the vibes are just off. The residents are very strange. It just has this ominous and eerie feeling to it. And there is one resident in particular that is really causing Grady to get the chills because she looks eerily similar to his wife. This was my first ever Alice Feeney book, and I will tell you guys, it will not be the last. I thought that the audiobook was incredible for this. It had an unreliable narrator, and we had dual POV, and the only thing that irritated me throughout the book was Grady himself. Grady just went about things so nonchalant. It just was really irritating. And on top of that, I didn't know if I could trust anything that Grady was saying. But the ending and the twist, it was scary. I'm not gonna lie, it was really scary. Next book we have is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This book has really heavy themes in it, so please keep that in mind when you're reading it. In the book, we are dealing with Yasmin and Josiah, who are a divorced couple who still have to run their business together and co-parent their 2 kids. This was my first Kennedy Ryan book, and you guys, I loved it. I really liked it. It is very refreshing to see a story of a Black family that is successful and that is thriving and that is prosperous. I really loved that because they wanted better for their kids. As a parent, you want to see your kids be successful, and regardless of what you have going on, you want to do everything in your power to make sure that they're okay in the end. And I thought that Kennedy Ryan wrote that very, very well. I also love Josiah's character development because sometimes men, they are just so prideful and they just want to hold everything in, but Josiah wanted to be better for his family. However, the only thing, I will be brutally honest, the only thing that frustrated me, they just didn't know how to communicate in the beginning. And it was really hard and really frustrating because it's like, you guys just talk to each other. And that is really hard, but also at the same time, it's very realistic. You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. And Geneva Rose is a guilty pleasure author for me. I have read 3 of her books so far, but I will admit this one was not my favorite in comparison to The Perfect Marriage and Home is Where the Bodies Are. In this story, we have our main character, Grace, who is trying to get away from the city life for a little bit. So she decides to go to a desolate town in Wyoming. And while she's there, she is staying at an Airbnb that is owned by a man named Calvin. Things get a little hot and heavy. So if you are looking for more of a thriller, this book may not be for you because the subplot of romance is very, very heavy. There have been very mixed reviews on this book. A lot of people did not like it, and they found Calvin to be cringe, and he was. I'm not gonna lie, he was very cringe. However, I think that was the point. This creepy guy who is just strange. We see horror stories of Airbnbs, and I think Geneva Rose captured that perfectly in this book. I really liked it. I'm in the minority when it comes to my opinions on this book, but that is okay because at the end of the day, reading is subjective. And you guys, I cannot wait for The Perfect Divorce. I'm so excited for that book because I think with Geneva Rose, she's one of those authors where it's like you sit and you're like, God, what's this? This is very popcorn thriller. This is very popcorn thriller. But after thinking about it, it's like, Geneva, you ate that little one. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Okay, guys, the next 4-star book that we have is The Crash by Frida McFadden. At the time that I am filming this video, the book came out on the 28th. It is now January 29th. And you guys, I ate that book up. You love misery, you're really gonna love this book. We have a pregnant mom named Tegan who is trying to escape from this crappy situation. And so she is on the road in the midst of a snowstorm and she gets into an accident. She's rescued by this couple and the story just unfolds from there. I loved the theme of survival and motherhood in this book. It really was captured very well. And as someone who was a fan of misery, seeing the misery vibes was just, it was so good. It was so good. There were some points where the twists were predictable. However, that's why it's not a 5-star, but I still really enjoyed this story. Now, let's get to my 5-star reads. Now, let's knock out the first 3 because they are in a series. When in Rome series by Sarah Adams. The first book we have is When in Rome. And in that story, we are following our main character, Amelia, who is a pop singer who is feeling really burnt out. She decides to get away to Rome, Kentucky, and while she's there, she meets a handsome baker named Noah, and those two fall in love. Their story is just really sweet and really cute, and it was very wholesome, and they both had internal issues going on, so it was really great to see these two grow individually. The next one is Practice Makes Perfect, and in this one we are following Noah's little sister Annie, who is the town sweetheart, good girl who's just very quiet and kind of quirky. She owns a cute little flower shop. She is having trouble in the dating world. She ends up getting help from Amelia's bodyguard Will to figure out the do's and don'ts of dating, and of course these two end up catching feelings and falling in love, and this one was really cute. I feel like out of all the characters, I relate to Annie the most. She's an introvert, she's very quiet, and she feels very misunderstood. People put these labels on her, and she's like, that's not true. Yes, I am introverted in some kind of way, but at the end of the day, I'm still human. I still, have my way that I want to live my life, and people need to accept it. And if they can't accept it, then, forget it. And Will is just, he's so sweet. He has tattoos, and he's just, all the MCs in Sarah Adams stories, they're just perfect. I love them. Last but certainly not least, we have Sarah Adams' new release that came out earlier in January, and that is Beg, Borrow, or Steal. And in this one, we are following Emily, who is a teacher, but she also is a secret writer. And she ends up accidentally sending her manuscript to her boss, which is the school's principal, and she's freaking out. And so she decides to enlist the help of her nemesis / neighbor, Jack Bennett. This book was everything. The banter between Emily and Jack was so good, and just there were moments where I was kicking and giggling, and Emily is one of those characters where it's like she thrives off of perfection. She is trying to constantly make other people around her happy. She realizes that, she can't always make everyone happy, and I really love that. And also Jack has a really difficult relationship with his family, especially his father, and we see that in the story, and I loved seeing these two just have their romance bud, and it was everything. Sarah Adams, if you're watching this video, we need Madison's book. Like yesterday. We need it, please. Okay, you guys, I've officially entered my dark romance era, thanks to none other than Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I feel like the audiobook is the best way that you can consume this story. The narrators, especially the narrator for our MMC Josh, was everything. My family watches this, so you guys, go ahead and skip this part. Go ahead and skip. In the story, we are following our main character, Allie, who is a nurse, and she's dealing with a stalker. However, on the flip side, she has a little bit of a kink for sexy masked men who post thirst traps on the internet. It's like, I love Jack from Love Theoretically. He's so sweet, so kind. However, sometimes you want a little bit of a, I'm waiting for you in the dark, and I got a hot mask on, and yeah, I broke into your car, but it's snowing really bad outside, and I want to take you home so you don't have to drive in the snow. I'm gonna need therapy after this. Oh, wow. But you guys, I'm so glad that I've joined the dark romance team, because it was just so fun. I just really enjoyed this story. I was laughing out loud. I just did not want to stop reading it. That's how good this book was. As The Wedding People, this book is very slice of life and is all about self-discovery. We are following our main character, Phoebe, who goes to a hotel in Rhode Island with plans to kill herself. While she's there, she realizes that she is the only person that is not attending a wedding. Phoebe ends up befriending the bride, and they end up having a very unconventional friendship. And the bride and all the other guests in this wedding, they teach Phoebe things that she didn't know about herself and how valuable she is to the world. And I loved this story. I feel like I read it at the right time. I was constantly rooting for Phoebe throughout this book because she had been through so much in a short time frame, and I just wanted to see her come out on the other side. That was literal perfection. I see why this book has so many rave reviews, because it's just that good. And last but certainly not least, you guys, I told you that I read Before I Let Go, and I immediately had to jump into This Could Be Us, which is the second book in the Skyland series. In this one, we are following Soledad, who is going through a lot. That trifling husband of hers, yeah, Edward, yeah, if you know, you know. Soledad is just really going through a tough time, and she's trying to keep everything together for herself and for her girls. While she is grappling with all of these things, she meets a guy named Judah, who is a single dad to two boys that have autism. I really loved this story. I loved the way that Soledad was written, because Soledad dedicated 20 plus years to her marriage and to her children, and taking care of them and making sure that they had everything that they needed. And when everything hit the fan, she bossed up and she did everything that she could to provide for her daughters, and she came out as that girl. I loved Soledad's self-love journey that she went on, and the fact that she had a man that was able to love her out loud and accept her for everything that she was and everything that she brought to the table. This was my favorite book of the month. I will tell you that right now. As a person that has a loved one with autism, I just loved the representation in this book. Okay, you guys, that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what your favorite book was in January, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.